In Psalm 62, you'll find these words. Truly, my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from him. Truly, he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. How long will you assault me? Would all of you throw me down this leaning wall, this tottering fence? Surely they intend to topple me from my lofty place. They take delight in lies. With their mouths they bless, but in their hearts they curse. Yes, my soul finds rest in God. My hope comes from him. Truly, he's my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will not be shaken. My salvation and my honor depend on God. He is my mighty rock, my refuge. Trust in him at all times. You people, pour out your hearts to him, for God is our refuge. My thought and theme will come from the 5th verse where it says, hope in him. And I want to talk today and put a thought and theme to this text titled, A Never Failing Hope. A never failing hope. A never failing hope. It is said that life with Christ is an endless hope. Without him, life is a hopeless end. Let me say it again. Life with Christ is an endless hope. Without him, life is a hopeless end. Without him, the truth of the matter, there is no hope. But for the believer, Christ is a never failing hope. Life that's always lifing can present the believer with multiple hardships and misfortune. In seasons like this, you feel rejected. You feel regret. You feel fear. You feel trapped. You feel no emotion. You feel overwhelmed. You feel like life is out of control. And in seasons like this, that is why you need an anchor of hope. I know it may be hard for you to believe, but it is in these moments like these, God shapes the character of his people through what I call refining fires. And these refining fires can only be extinguished by God himself. And he does this to affirm that our hope is in him. He makes it clear he is the God of hope. He is the real lasting hope. He is the real thing. If we place our hope in our career, our house, our health, our wealth, our family, our politics, or who's in the White House, this is a false hope. Because these kind of people and these kind of characters will eventually fail and falter. But God is absolute assurance that he can't fail and won't fail. And that's why David says, I won't be shaken. And saints, need I not remind you, in certain situations where we feel like we are alone, he may not always be seen, but you can rest assured God is always present. No matter how hot the furnace, he still shows up to cool the flames. No matter how many lions are in your den, he always shows up to put them to sleep. No matter how many times you may be locked in a Philippian jail, he still gives you a psalm or a song and a prayer in the midst of your change. So there is hope in God. Hope, brothers and sisters, is confident expectation. And this kind of hope is not passive, but aggressive. It is anticipation of a reality. Things will get better. Things will turn around in my favor. Greater is coming. God is up to something. I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't know how. He just shows up in the nick of time because his hope never fails us. Even if the cloud is the size of a man's hand, rain will fall. Even if the meal is just 2 fish and 5 biscuits, it will feed your multitude and you'll still have baskets left over. I need to remind you, when it comes to hope, human impossibilities become God's possibility because our hope is in God. Help me preach this first time. Tap your neighbor and say, neighbor, he is our never failing hope. David writes this psalm and repeats the theme of his silent confidence or hope in God. That God is the perfect anchor to trust when dealing with enemies and life stressors, because your salvation or saving grace is in him. David makes it clear the Lord is the only one worthy of his soul's trust. He makes it clear you can't trust power. He makes it clear you can't trust prestige. He makes it clear you can't trust people. Why? Because God is always consistent. He's always comforting and he's always compassionate, while power, prestige, and people are fickle. And they are fabricated. They are with you today and will hate you tomorrow. They will bless you today and curse you tomorrow. They will walk with you today, but walk away from you tomorrow. So David makes it clear only God is consistent and compassionate, while people and power and prestige are fickle and fabricated. And so this is what we see in Psalm 62. David shows us the consistencies of God and the inconsistencies of people. Therefore, all hope should be in him, so nothing can shake us. As the Psalm states, when you put your hope in him, nothing can shake us. I'm telling my age, but I can remember the old saints singing a song, I shall not. Ooh, somebody went to the same church. Shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the rivers of water. I shall not be moved. So David, I believe, if he wanted to sing a little part of this song, he would put it in this 62nd Psalm, because he says, I shall not be shaken. No matter what takes place in life comes upon me, I shall not be shaken. Why does he say this? I have 3 points and I'm going to my seat. He says, I shall not be shaken because, number one, God is the source of rest. Rather than being agitated or upset, David can be calm and spiritually relaxed because of his hope in God. David compares the Lord to a rock and a fortress, a symbol of strength and fortitude. And whereas David will not be shaken or fear because his confidence is in a rock and a fortress. Oh God, this rock is from everlasting to everlasting. This rock is Alpha. Oh, come on, help me preaching here. And Omega. He is the beginning and the end. I believe Aretha Franklin said, he is rock steady. Y'all come on, go to the club just for 30 seconds and come back to church. He is rock steady. Psalm 46 says, God is my refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore, I would not fear, though the earth give way and mountains fall, though waters roar. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God where the Most High dwells. God is within her, and he will not fail. God is not just any rock, but he's my rock. He's not just anybody's fortress. He's my fortress. You need to point at yourself and let your neighbor know he's my rock. He's my fortress. And what David is saying, he is a place of defense and protection against defense. He's our defense against any attack that comes upon us. And he repeats this confidence throughout the psalm, and he says, throughout the book of Psalms, he says, some trust in horses, some trust in chariots, but I put my trust in the name of the Lord. He goes further and says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Then he goes on again and says, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? David makes it clear he's a never failing hope because he is the source of rest. In other words, I can sleep easy. And it does not have to be a silly or foster pedic, whatever they call it, where they put numbers in there, you know. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Stearns and Foster. I knew it was somewhere in that number. But you can sleep easy because he stays up all night. He that keeps Israel neither slumbers nor sleep. Tap your neighbor on the shoulder, say, neighbor, sleep easy, because he never goes to sleep. So number one, he's the source of rest. Then second, he is our steadfast refuge. Verses 3 and 4, David asks something we all have asked before. No matter how old you are, and if you haven't lived long enough, you'll eventually say this: how long? How long must I endure this attack? How long must I deal with this circumstance? How long must I deal with this trial and tribulation? How long must I deal with this torment or this sickness? How long must I deal with enemies and frenemies? So David asked the Lord, how long? Because they use lies and deceit to cause devastation. And holding nothing back, this attack in Psalm 62 is an attack on David to destroy him. And some believe that this attack comes, number one, from family. Look straight ahead. If your family sitting next to you, just wink at me, because they might be the one. But the attack comes from family because Absalom, David's third son, betrayed him. Not only did he betray his father, but he murdered his own brother, Amnon, because Amnon raped his sister. And he felt like David was not getting enough revenge on Amnon, so he took matters in his own hand and decided to overthrow David. Saints, some of your worst attacks can come from family. I'm preaching, y'all not talking back to me in here. I tell you what, let somebody die in your family. You'll find out whose side they really on. Let some money come into the family. I'm talking, y'all not talking back to me in here. And you'll find out whose side they really on. And so the Bible lets us know that the attack may have come from family. Not only family, but the attack came from frenemies. People that were in his cabinet. Persons that he had handpicked to be close to him. They set up an attack along with Absalom to overthrow him. And saints, you have to be careful of your friends or frenemies. Everybody on Facebook is not your friend. Matter of fact, everybody that's saying I love you in your face may not really love you. Talk back to me if you can. And that's a strong word, because I need to say this. Everybody that's saying they love you really don't love you. And everybody say they like you don't like you either. So he says in this text, through this teaching, he says, be careful of family and friends. But David reminds us our safe place is in God. I'm almost done here now. Because he is a God that loves whosoever and whoever. That's your shout right there. And the reason that's your shout, because all of us are in the whosoever and the whoever. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, and whosoever believeth on him should not perish, but have everlasting life. We are all in the whoever and the whosoever. So it does not matter who loves us or who does not like us, who does not walk with us, who does not care about us, as long as God wraps his loving arms around me, I have a never failing hope. The psalmist says it like this in Psalm 91. He says, whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High shall find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my strength, whom I trust. Yeah. Saints, 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right side, but it will not come nigh you, because he is our never failing hope. So one, he's our source of rest. Two, he is our steadfast refuge. You can take comfort in hiding in your fortress, in your rock, because he is mighty and he's strong. And then finally, saints, he is our sure redemption. Because David knows the Lord is unchanging and all powerful, trustworthy, knowing that he can depend on him. David testifies by repeating the description of God in previous verses. He reminds us that he is stable and unmovable. He reminds us that he is a rock and a fortress. He lets us know that this is the reason we can have confidence in this hope. He declares he will not fall victim to resentment toward his enemies. David declares, I will not worry about those that hate me. I'm not worried about those that lie on me. I'm not worried about those that try to overthrow me, cause dissension. And saints, I need to come to your address and remind you, don't you worry about folk that don't like you, don't love you, that throw all kind of hateration against you. David says, don't worry about them, because God knows how to handle your enemies. I'm about to go to my seat here now. The Bible says he'll make your enemies your footstools. In other words, he'll let your enemies elevate you. They don't realize that the more they talk, the more they bless your reputation. So David reminds us, don't worry about their deceit. Don't worry about their lies and scandalization. God decides whether to show grace or show wrath. Because he is the author and finisher of life. And everybody in here has a chapter in their book that's titled Grace and Mercy. Y'all don't know when to shout. I just said something there. Everybody on your row sitting next to you has a chapter in their book titled Grace and Mercy. That means he looked beyond all your foolishness and still bless you indeed. Tap your neighbor and say, neighbor, thank God for the chapter of grace and mercy. I ain't gonna do it. I'm almost done. 3 minutes, I promise. So David says, don't worry about your enemies. Don't worry about your frenemies. Don't worry about your family. God is the one that shows grace or wrath. He will elevate you in spite of what they say. He will bless you in spite of what they say. He will give you grace in spite of what they say. And then here comes Jesus. Woo. Sheds light on us how to handle naysayers. If you don't remember just last week, Jesus showed us on Resurrection Weekend how to handle all your naysayers, how to handle all your critics. He reminds us for every crucifixion, there's a resurrection. He reminds us what was dead now lives. He reminds us what we thought was the end is now the new beginning. And he shows us on resurrection morning, he shows us how to handle all the naysayers and the critics. He shows us, number one, the power of survival. Tap your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm a survivor. He shows us that you can go to hell and back and still come out unscarred. Woo! I'm preaching in here. Y'all not shouting with me yet. Touch your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm still here. I survived. I've been to hell and back. I don't look like what I've been through. And that's because he's a never-failing hope. I'm not going to do all that today. I'm just talking today. And then number two, he shows us the power. Lord, if you don't shout on this, I'm going to shout by myself. He shows us not only the power of survival, but he shows us the power of showing up again. I'm going to shout all by myself. See, the devil thought he had killed you. He thought he had messed you up. But you had enough nerve to show up and didn't say a word. They put the word out that you were dead, you were done. But look at you now. You strutted in here like a peacock. You put your best praise on and let the devil know I'm still here. I dare you to tap three neighbors on the shoulder and say, neighbor, I'm still here. So Jesus showed us ain't no power in hell can tie me down. I'm just talking. I'm not going to go there. I know you want me to go there. In other words, I'll rise again. Just like Pillsbury biscuits. I almost said Pillsbury is Pillsbury. Put me in an oven. In other words, put me in the fire. Oh, so y'all not shouting yet. And anybody been in the fire, you know what the fire feels like. But touch your neighbor and say, neighbor, I shall rise again. So in other words, he is our never-failing hope. I'm going to my seat here now. But I hear the hymn writer, Edward Moak, saying, my hope is built on nothing less. They trying to push me here than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. Somebody shout with me, on Christ, the solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. Touch your neighbor and say, neighbor, he's a never-failing hope. He shows up in every circumstance, in every situation. He's a father when you're fatherless. He's a mother when you're motherless. He's food on your table. He's clothes on your back. He's a way out of no way. Can I get one witness? And if you know he hasn't failed you, turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, I showed up because there's hope. I give him praise because there's hope. I worship him because there's hope. There's nobody like our God.